sitasimama maovu yakitawala.
Asanteni wewe.
Simama maovu yakitawala.
Well, I mean,
nataka hivi
really, then this...
Ndio hii place ikae kama tulikuwa tunafanya kitu muhimu sana, si ndio? Sawa. So I just want you to sing the chorus, sawa? Na usiniangushe, si ndio?
Mic check 1 2.
Masuti tunawajua.
1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4.
Nikonja hata
siwezi.
Alafu shika mkono na neighbor. Alafu inua juu.
Shagala baba.
Usingia mtu mfuko.
Niko tayari kulipa gharama. Sitasimama maovu yakitawala. Sitasimama
wewe shika huyo
maovu yakitawala. Ufisadi binafsi ukabila watakikuza sera. Undugu ni kufana. Sitasimama maovu yakitawala. Sitasimama maovu yakitawala.
Aye.
1 2 1 2. Mic 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Mic check 1 2. Hello and welcome. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amina Abdirabah.
My name is Mark Masai.
Welcome to this special edition of the Nation Leadership Forum. We call it special because we are dedicating it to the youth, who form over 70% of Kenya's population and are inevitably the future of this very nation. This is also a special edition because we are looking at 4 sustainable development goals. That is food security, good health, quality education, and gender equality. In our discussion tonight with our great panel and guests here at the Chandaria Center for Performing Arts at the University of Nairobi. And with those joining us online and through our live broadcast, we hope to discover how to unlock the power of youth to drive global progress, or as Giuliani would say, the exponential potential. Babi. Sema zinajaribu kumchangamsha exponential, lazima ufanye hivi alafu ushake hizo dreads zenye ukupewa.
Nilikuwa nazo kitani.
Atulikuwa nazo wapi?
Exponential
potential. Hakuna. Amejaribu lakini kidogo. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Sijui kama bado uko youth na inyo, lakini it's okay, Mark. Nakupenda. It's all love.
Mini youth mbaya. Now, the hashtag of course is NMG Leadership Forum. First, we get a message tonight from the Bill and Melinda Gates goalkeepers and also the foundation. Is poverty inevitable? And there's a clear answer here. The answer is no. We asked 2,000 people on the internet about what they thought was going on with poverty. We told them the 1990 number and asked them to guess where it had gone. And their guess was that it had fallen from that 36% down to 22%. In fact, the real line is far, far better. It drops all the way down to 9%. That means 1.2 billion people have overcome extreme poverty since 1990. So the question we face here is, can we create a third great wave of poverty reduction in the rest of the world that will bring extreme poverty near to eradication? Now we're going to look at the people who remain in extreme poverty. So starting back in 1990, we're going to take all those dots and do a pie chart that gives us a sense of what it looked like by region back in 1990. So you can see sub-Saharan Africa, the blue part there, represented a relatively small slice of extreme poverty in 1990. But because this has fallen so quickly in East and South Asia, so we're dropping the total number of people a lot. But also, as we drop those numbers, you can see that that sub-Saharan slice, the blue slice, is getting to be a very substantial part of this pie. In fact, if we project this out to 2050, it's rather stunning. It's a trend that I sort of was aware of, but even I was surprised when we ran these numbers that it shows that almost 90% of the people remaining in extreme poverty will be in sub-Saharan Africa by 2050. Our partner, the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, did these poverty projections on the continent, considering a couple of scenarios where the key thing we varied was the investment level in human capital. And so the status quo shows that the absolute number of people in extreme poverty will go up by about 50 million by 2050. That's disappointing. Even more sobering, though, is if we look at what some donors have talked about doing in terms of disengaging. If we look at governments not continuing to improve, there you get a very dire situation where the number almost doubles. It gets up to 672 million. But we also took a scenario, the one we believe in, the one we all want to rally around, where we increase that human capital investment, where we improve those health systems and those primary and secondary schools. And there, we're able to drive that extreme poverty down by over 90 million from where we stand today. So the gap between the bad scenario and the good scenario is over a factor of 2, almost 400 million people. So that's really what's at stake. I really believe it's possible to do the best case scenario. In fact, with the right innovation, which is the most powerful force in the world, we might be able to do even better than that. India, in the 1960s, the yield for wheat, which was very, very meager, was changed by modern technology and techniques. And now we're at almost 4 times the productivity that is output for a certain amount of land. That kind of innovation, in fact, that's another innovation we need to bring to Africa, but innovation can appear in many, many different sectors. And so we need a phenomenon like that to actually beat these predictions. And so it's investing in this innovation and backing young innovators across sub-Saharan Africa that we can get a very positive scenario. The world we want, a world in which every person can dream of a better future and make it come true, is a world without extreme poverty. Thank you.
The panel in a bit, but most of them do not need any introduction. But before that, we will set this program off with our keynote address. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the Devolution CS Eugene Wamalwa. And of course, the CS is very respectful because he wants to give our host, VC, the opportunity to say karibu kwangu.
The Cabinet Secretary for Devolution and Other Areas, Honorable Eugene Omawa. Our panelists of today, Mr. Siddharth Chatterjee, the UNDP representative and the UN President Coordinator. Karen Basie, Safaricom, Senior Manager for Sustainable Business. Karen Wakoli, Founder and Executive Director of Emerging Leaders Foundation. Kennedy Odede, CEO and co-founder of Shining Hope for Communities. Octopizzo, artist and youth activist. CEOs, present sponsors and partners, members of university community, members of the media, the youth, the invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Mine is to welcome you all to this special edition of the Thought Leadership Series. The university community is very grateful to the sponsors and partners for recognizing the immense potential, abundant talent, and the energy of our youth that should be harnessed for productive causes and not for destructive activities. Universities, and especially the University of Nairobi, have the greatest concentration of youth talent and the most influential youth group among their peers. We therefore feel honored and privileged to be part of this august gathering that will this evening debate on the power of the youth to drive global progress towards the attainment of sustainable development goals. The Nation Leadership Forum has earned the distinction of inspiring people to action and shaping opinions towards policy formulation, and that is why it is always demand-driven. I therefore thank you all for attending and encourage the sponsors, the Bill Gates Foundation, Goalkeepers, Safaricom, FAO, and UNDP to continue partnering with the university and the nation media to deliver this insightful program. Thank you very much. I wish you every best and of participation in this forum tonight. And with these remarks, I would like to call upon the Managing Director of Nation Media Broadcasting to make remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chancellor. Cabinet Secretary Eugene Omalo, invited guests, viewers at your respective homes and viewing places. Let me welcome you to, you've been welcomed to the venue, let me welcome you to television. You are live on television, and welcome to NTV. Let me start by saying thank you very much to our sponsors, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Safaricom, Food and Agricultural Organization, the National AIDS Control Council, and of course, our host, University of Nairobi. This is a special NLF, Nation Leadership Forum. We've had 6 others, but this one is a very special one, branded The Power of the Youth to Drive Global Progress. We don't have much to say today, but just want you to sit back and enjoy our panelists as they go along with their deliberations. Thank you very much. See us.
Thank you very much, our host, the Vice Chancellor, together with the MD Nation Media Group. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. When I was called upon to speak first, I declined because I'm a student in this university and my boss was here. So I could not speak before the Vice Chancellor. And I'm very grateful that he has hosted us here today. I was here many years ago when I was taking my first degree, but I came back for my LLM. I'm a student at Parklands University, so I'm at home. And I really admired, I was telling the Vice Chancellor, this auditorium is beautiful. Probably he should visit Parklands. I was not as comfortable as I am here tonight. And barring any possibility of missing marks, I'm really hoping to graduate in December. And alongside me, I think I'm looking forward to His Excellency the Deputy President, who is also a student here, to graduate with us in December. But the VC assures me he's dealing with the problem of missing marks, and there's hope that we are likely to graduate. So let me thank you, and in particular thank the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for giving us the opportunity here to talk about the SDGs. And even as the world leaders meet in New York, we are part of the discourse as we meet here today. And the Nation Media Group has played a big role in enabling us engage. And I just want to thank them and to say that what we've been called upon to discuss today is nothing new. When you look at the issues of hunger, you look at the issues of health, issues of education, these are matters that we've been discussing since our independence.
We don't really need policies around having women into management, women into leadership. As Sid has said, you can't play the game with only 50% of the people. If you look at statistics, actually, companies that have succeeded have a high number of women in leadership. Because when you have the same like-minded people leading the rest of you, who will stop to say, hey, let's look at it from this point of view. Let's address this other issue. So from corporate Kenya in Safaricom, we've made a deliberate effort to have 50-50 representation by 2020. So we've started the journey. There's a time we were almost there, but we have been on this journey for the last 4 years, trying to ensure that it's just not 50-50 gender within management, but at all levels in the company. So it's a journey that we've started, and we are happy and pleased to be on it.
And this journey of this conversation will continue. Definitely, I hear you have some good responses from the crowd, and we'll be fielding the questions when we continue with this special edition of the Nation Leadership Forum, focused on the youth and the 4 SDGs at the 2nd, the 3rd, and 4th and 5th. There's 17 to be exact, but we're focusing on the 4. We'll talk a bit more when we come back. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome back to a special edition of the Nation Leadership Forum. The hashtag is NMG Leadership Forum on social media. If we have some time, we'll get a chance to take a look at some of the feedback that we are getting online. And to those of you who are watching our live broadcast, welcome back. Now, we have a lot of things that we're going to be getting to, and I think it's also important for us to have some of our messages coming in, Mark, from some of the guests that we do have in the audience, right?
Right, that's right. We have the Food Agriculture Organization that is represented by Dr. Gabriel Bugalema, the country director, actually. And I believe he has a microphone in hand. Just as you get ready to talk, there's a concern that the youth are not so much interested in agriculture. The average age for the farmers and those in the agriculture sector is 61. Mm-hmm. And we're looking at engaging youth more in this sector. What's your concern in this area?
Thank you, Mark. First of all, let me say that we are seated here discussing the 4 SDGs and trying to say which one is bigger or more important than the other. They are all interdependent. If you don't have good food, your health will be poor and you can't achieve in education. So they are interdependent, and I would like to take them like that. I have heard young people here say they finished the school and they didn't have a job. In FAO, we have been asking ourselves, what is a job? It's an opportunity where you can make meaningful contribution to society while earning money. And so agriculture becomes one such opportunity. The People saying that youth are not going into agriculture, I beg to disagree. I just came back from Tharaka Nithi today, and yesterday I was in the field interacting with young people. Some are graduates who have decided to go into agriculture, especially agribusiness, and they are loving it, and they are making money. So let me say that I think what the youth are focusing on is 3 things. Business-minded. They don't want agriculture where you till the land just for eating. They want agriculture that will create employment and generate income. They are reliant more on technology and ICT. They are not going to go to a library or resource center to look for materials or wait for an extension worker. They want to have everything on the app. Third, they want reliable markets. And the FAO has been doing a very good job of bringing markets to the youth. And then every time we talk, we are always talking about government, government, government. Government is an important player, but it's one of the players. We need the private sector to invest. We need the right investment to bring in the young people and give them the resources they need. Money, technology, markets, and things like that. So we have had many projects funded by the EU and other funded by the United States government, funded by the Kenyan government, and I find young people innovating and doing interesting things. The song that was sung here, it said, sitasimama wala sitakaa chini wakati maovu yanatendeka. So let me conclude by saying this. Food insecurity ni maovu makubwa sana. When you haven't eaten, your rights have been flouted. So let's ask the youth, say, sitasimama maovu yakitawala, vijana hatutasimama maovu yakitawala, vijana tuende kilimo, tuchangie maendeleo ya Kenya. Thank you very much.
And Mark said something very interesting. It is true, the average age of a farmer is 61, but then
But he says the stats are changing right now.
They're changing now?
Yes.
Well, that's good to know. You learn something new every single day. All right, so now as we keep it moving to a program officer from the National AIDS Council, we have Rebecca Nyakiea. Is she here? Yes. We'd like to have a word. And then also what we would like to ask her is, if you talk to a lot of young people, they're more scared of getting pregnant than HIV/AIDS.
Yes. A lot of young people in this country are more concerned about pregnancy than HIV, but the facts on the ground are that young people are contributing the highest number of new infections in this country, which essentially means that the ages of 15 to 24, those are the people who are the most vulnerable to infections. And it's sad to see that this is the case, and it's because we are not as informed as we should be, and we take it for granted, some of the simple things that we face every day. So we have a low perception of risk generally in this country as young people. So we don't think that HIV is a cause for concern for us. And I think we as young people need to start taking health more seriously, because we need to become more aware of the issues that are out there that can make us more vulnerable to diseases. And more than just that, be able to ask for greater accountability of the people who are in leadership or programming for young people, specifically towards health. And not just that, make sure that there's sound investments in health for young people, and more so make sure that there's a lot more young people who are advocating to be at the front line for health and specifically sexual reproductive health, so we're not just sitting and not speaking about sex, and we're very, as a country, so scared to just open up and have conversations about sex, because as young people we need to hear these things, not because it's a key for us to just go out and have sex. It's just for us to be informed and make informed decisions, which will, in the end, make sure that we have productive lives as young people.
All right, thank you so much. I think she deserves a round of applause, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I'd like to introduce Regional CEO, Aga Khan Foundation East Africa. That is Graham Wood. As you've been following this conversation, I mean, people sometimes say we do too much of talking than we do action. As you follow this conversation, what's the priority in your opinion?
Yes, thank you, Mark. And I've just been looking at my Twitter feed, and a lot of people here are complaining about too many old people talking. So I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't chat for too long. I think for us as Aga Khan Development Network and the foundation, which is the non-profit side of that, all of the development goals are important, and we touch upon them all. For me, I think ultimately it's goal number one that is our target, right? Ending poverty. We have a situation in Kenya at the moment where a third of Kenyans, a third of people in this country live on less than 200 bob a day. That isn't acceptable. We have a situation around the world where 1 billion people live on that kind of sum of money every day. More than 100 years ago, people, American presidents, Teddy Roosevelt and others were saying, we have the power to lift people out of poverty. We have the power now. It's really up to us. And what is needed in terms of moving this forward is the kind of action that we're beginning to see around the world, around the SDGs, putting real meat on it and holding those people who ultimately make decisions to account. And that's fundamentally the role of us all, whether we're old people like me or young people. We all need to do that, to hold decision makers to account.
Young people like me, thank you very much, George. And now, let's throw it to the people in the crowd who have questions directly to the panel. I'll start with you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Lucy, CEO and co-founder of Shamiri Veg. We deal with supplies of fruit and vegetables. My question goes to FAO and CS Devolution. My question is, you say that you're willing to support the youth when we come with ideas to make our country better, to also at least make sure we attain one of these SDGs. But the problem is, and this is now speaking from experience, there's a lot of bureaucracy, especially when it comes to accessing these funds. You say that come with your idea, come with all the proper documentation, we will give you this money. Unfortunately, if you tell me to form, let's say, a group of 10 people so that I can access this money, first things first, dynamics of forming the group is too much. Number two, the amount of money you're giving to these 10 people is not even sufficient enough. But if you give it to me where I have 3 people or 3 of us, and we're able to provide employment for 10 or 20 more people, it makes a lot of sense. So,
thank you for that. Real quick reactions from FAO, and I believe it was the CS.
The CS already has the mic.
Yeah, the CS already has the mic. You can go.
Alikuwa na hepa hiyo swali. Pass it on.
I was trying to pass it on to FAO. But thank you very much. I think one of the issues that we've tried to do is really to see how we can empower the youth. As I said, the Constitution has actually, for the first time, recognized the importance of youth empowerment under Article 55 of our Constitution. It is actually a right now for the youth to be involved in the socioeconomic and political spheres of our life as a nation. And some of the rights that we're discussing here today, that are SDGs, are no longer goals. They are actually human rights under Article 43 of our Constitution. That is what makes the difference. And under Article 21, the state has been given the fundamental duty by our Constitution to ensure that the youth and other members of society enjoy these rights. So some of the programs we are putting in line with Article 55, affirmative action to ensure that the youth get the education, they get the skills they need. They also get empowerment in terms of funding. We have the 30% procurement that was set aside for our youth. We have a youth enterprise fund. We know that there are challenges, but we have also set aside the Huduma centers to try and make it easier for a young person leaving college to register a company, to be able to get into a group. And these are some of the things that have made Kenya recognized worldwide as one of the countries that has improved in the ease of doing business. And we want to assure you that though there are challenges now, we're doing our best to ensure we increase funding and we make it easier for the young people to access this funding, to also get the necessary skills to increase the employability of our young people in our market as you go out. So we'll continue working together to ensure that this is achieved. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Bonas. Yes, unfortunately, we don't have time. Kindly keep your questions short and your responses short. throat as well. Can we do that? All right, thank you. Now, sit on the sidelines of the 73rd United Nations General Assembly. Something really cool happened. We had our president, Uhuru Kenyatta, named Young People's Agenda Global Champion. What exactly does this mean for the youth here in Kenya?
It basically means the recognition that the world is giving Kenya. Guys, don't underestimate how Kenya is being perceived in the rest of the world. It's a country which is smashing world records in marathons.
Yes.
It's a country which is really taking innovation, technology, private sector collaboration. I went to the World Economic Forum and saw most of the CEOs were young Kenyans who've started companies in the West Coast and elsewhere. So it's a country of enormous opportunity. The reality is that the moment is now. It wasn't yesterday, it may not have been day before yesterday, but what you have is an alliance of political will, of the right public policies, and the new form of partnerships. And this is exactly what is going to take Kenya to the next level. So trust me when I say this, and I say this without equivocation, that by 2030, if we invest in what I would term as the 4 E's, education and skills, empowerment of women, employment generation, and every employment, be it a soldier or a farmer, should have the same dignity of labor and equity, we would jump this economy by 2 times to 3 times.
Octo, as the president was being named the UN Youth Global Champion, he said on the sidelines of the same meeting that he promises the youth his full support as he champions their cause, but cautioned that the youth must also seize the occasion to shoulder responsibilities to move the world forward. What's your response to that?
Translation, yani alisema na joke.
Niko na sikuizi nilibuy ear drum ingine ukina translate. I don't know how to answer that honestly, because I don't know which kind of youth the president hung out with. You know? But it's not us. But yeah, I agree with him that I think young people should also come out and now start thinking out of the box, because I think this just depending on one way, and also as much as I support education and everything, but this is not the only way out, you know. I feel like every time, especially if you grow where we come from, you're only told school is the only way. So by the time you're in high school and you're getting your D's and E, your parents are telling you you're done. You know, and you give up so early that maybe you are talented in mechanics. Maybe you wanted to do you want to be a carpenter, and that's what you want to do, and it's not being taught in high school. And I feel like we should not only look at only formal ways of being successful.
Yeah.
And so I think the youth, and of course the president, and I don't think our president is a bad guy. I think we just have bad governance, and he can't control it at the moment, and he needs to find out how. You know, we just have bad governance. You go to places, I don't think even Kenyans have problem with tax, with the way we put it. But if you're taxing us that much, then we should have free health, free education, free transport. And I'm sure nobody will complain, but the tax are being increased and the things are still the same. So what is that? Where's the tax going?
All right.
Okay. All right. So Mark, I think, if Octopizzo is running for office, how many votes will he get here? Oh. All right. Okay. Now you know. Now, Mr. Odede, kuna kitu interesting sana Octo amesema hapo. Alikuwa anaongelelea hiyo story yani dependency. It's almost like we have this dependency thing, right? Dependency syndrome. Saidia serikali, nini. No offense to Sid, but do we need the UN to, come over and get past the SDGs?
Thank you so much. So, Octo, umesema poa kweli, yeah? So what is happening is that there's what we call grassroots and the top. And most of the time, some people have a glass of wine, champagne, and what they're talking there doesn't really come down. So I think it's really high time that SDGs, people really from the ground start talking about it. And I'm telling young people also is that we don't have to wait for the government. We don't have to wait for the people. Okto and I is a good story to share with you. We grew up together. I used to think that alikuwa mkora, alikuwa na sag. Okto thought I was Fala. You know what I mean? Sindio? But look, so right now, and right now, it's really amazing. This for me is called hope. That 2 boys from the slum of number 9 are sitting here. So it's possible, and change starts with you.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Ms. Odede. We are again going to be taking some of your comments coming in through our social media pages. The hashtag is NMG Leadership Forum. Please do keep on sending it through. We're coming to you live from the Chandaria Center of Performing Arts right here at the Nairobi University. You guys, you make some noise for yourselves. Amma, we should have, okay, there you go. There you go. We have more when we come back right after this short commercial break.
The Global Youth Championship is because of the policies we put in place. And compared to many African countries, we are ahead. All we need to do is ensure that we now put the youth at the center of this discourse on SDGs, on devolution, on Big Four, and that is what's going to make the difference. Implementation is the issue, and we want the counties to come on board. When we are talking about 30% public procurement, it should start at the national as well as at the counties, so that we don't have governors giving tenders or jobs to their wives or families when there are young people in those counties. We don't want young people leaving this country to go to other countries. We want young people leaving Nairobi to go to their counties, to do business, to get jobs. So it's a question of implementation. The policies are in place. Thank you.
I wish to add something to that question.
Okay.
Oh, Karen speaking.
Macaulay, continue.
So part of the answer is when we sit back and wait for things to be done for us, for policies to be created and all that, we don't go anywhere. But as young people, I wish to challenge us. At the county level, there are so many opportunities, like the CS talked about devolution. Where's the voice of young people? I challenge young people, let us just rise and begin to engage. Make your voice heard. Ask questions, hold our leaders to account. We are complaining about taxes, about corruption and all these things, but then we are the same people who choose to sit back and just watch things happen. Go to social media, make a few noises here and there, but then we need to attend those public participation forums and ask difficult questions and make sure we are right at the center of decision-making processes. Thank you.
All right.
There's another, I'll give it to you, I'll bring it to you, but there's that issue of involving the youth in leadership. But there's also a place for patience to learn, to grow. I know I might get some boos, but yes, we're asked, not booze, but boo. But, you know, they're asked about experience. But there's a place for experience. And there's a place to have that patience to learn. So what do you answer to that question about the representation, having Bob Collymore, who's 30?
Did you say he's 30?
Yep, the opportunity is there. And for you to gain experience in work and that kind of thing, I don't think you need to be working in a very formal structure for you to claim that that's experience, but the opportunities to engage youth to work from whatever level. So you can start as a young worker in wherever you want to start as a young worker if you choose to go the formal way. So you can engage in young work from the time you're in high school when you're on leave. I've seen this work. Then at university level, there's industrial attachment. And was it yesterday I was reading in the news that Kenya is going to increase the industrial attachment period so that by the time you finish your formal education, be it at a TVET, be it in a university, you already have opportunity. But also there are innovation centers. So if you're the techie innovation type, there's the iHub, there's the Nairobi Lab, there's all these innovation spaces where you can tap in and start creating your own enterprise. So that by the time you're coming into formal employment, you've had some kind of experience along the way. I guess for us, in my time as the youth and still youth, we used to wait for formal employment to count. But along the way, as I've grown and as I've worked, I've seen youth coming in at different touch points, getting experience, getting exposure, and then building the experience as they go up. So one day we'll have that CEO at that age.
Okay, all right. Sid wants to add something?
I would just want to say that it's very, very important for Kenya to look at the potential opportunities which are well within this country. I have worked in counties like Mandera and Wajir and Marsabit and Lamu and Isiolo and Garissa, where maternal mortality rates were out of the skies. Today, those counties have brought those maternal mortality rates down by 1/3. Trust me, what devolution is helping this country do is exponential and will let you leapfrog. The important thing that the CS said is market. That the youth need to stay back in their counties, look at those opportunities there. By 2030, if Kenya misses the boat of that $1 trillion business opportunity in agro-business, we will miss it altogether because there are many other countries competing for it. The time is now. So I just feel that if we make those investments now, we won't go wrong.
All right, thank you so much, Sid. Now I understand we have a question from the audience. All right, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My name is Sharon Kendi. And I'm glad Karen is talking about Safaricom and what Safaricom is doing. So my question is, Safaricom is just one company. What are other private sectors doing so that we can now empower our youth? So another question goes to our CS. Currently, I understand that we have these good health forums for NHIF. But coming to our rural part of our rural areas, many of our youngsters they're not aware or what are the measures that are being taken so that each and every person, we are able to reach them so that we can educate them and make them be aware of what is going on in our countries.
All right, okay. Can we kind of get a mic to the CS?
All right, my name is Alvin Mokaya from Mokaya Leadership Center, and I really believe leadership has a key role in shaping the youth agenda. But I also want to challenge our CS here. We want to hear practical things that you have done in the Ministry of Devolution. It's a mega ministry, and you are in charge of the counties. You're saying counties should come on board. What have you done to ensure the counties come on board?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So we can get a mic to...
Karen, there's a question to you, and then I'll take it to CS.
regarding corporates and Safaricom, remember? Okay.
Yeah. So you asked a question on what other private sector are doing. I guess I can speak for Safaricom, but having sat in various private sector forums, I have seen deliberate effort of private sector to create opportunities that the youth can tap into. If I say about KCB perhaps, I know they have Jiajiri, a program, so they're also creating opportunities. It's just that each company, each private sector is creating its own path and creating opportunities for the youth. But what I know right now as Safaricom, we are a purpose-led company and we believe in connecting people to people, connecting people to opportunities, and connecting people to knowledge. So what we are doing also in that space with other private sector companies is to push for the young worker policy. We have developed it with UNICEF, and we're in the process of implementing it. And now we are talking to our fellow private sector through various forums. So we have the B team, the B leaders within Kenya. We have the UN Global Compact as a forum that gives us an opportunity as private sector, KEPSA. So within those forums, we are pushing for the youth agenda to ensure that all our other private sector companies also give the youth a chance.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you very much. I took over the Ministry of Devolution in February this year, and within 3 months, within 3 months of taking over that ministry, we held the 5th Devolution Conference. And I did make sure that for the first time, after 5 years of devolution, we brought the youth to the table, and my ministry sponsored 300 youth to the 5th Devolution Conference, and they were able to engage with their governors, Because what we're hearing are success stories being told by the governors themselves. But we had a youth from every constituency at the table, and they were able to engage. And from that point, we have also said, we want the counties to put the youth at the center of everything, and we will be monitoring, because we have many tools. We have the KDSP, the Kenya Devolution Support Program, where we have over 20 billion we are giving to the counties. There are certain criteria that they must fulfill for that to be given to them. We have the Ideas Program, and we are saying one of those issues that we'll be looking at is how the counties are involving the young people, in public participation, in civic education, in awarding the 30% contracts. And so far, we have about 14 counties that qualified. We have released over 6 billion to them. We have about 20 billion coming, but the youth will be one of the key areas we'll be looking at how you're participating. Okay. So I want to assure you, you'll not be on the periphery, but you'll be at the center of it. Yes. And also on the issue of health, we have counties that are doing well. I was in Makueni County, and that county, Professor Kivuda Kibwana has done very well. He was my constitutional lawyer professor at this university. But what is happening in Makueni is a success story, universal healthcare, and we want to see other counties emulating. All right. We also have counties that have given NHIF to their border riders. We have young people being covered by their governors, and we want to see more governors doing this so that we achieve what we are talking about, universal health, what we are talking about, job creation.
Okay, thank you so much. So we do have some questions at the bottom.
But before that, because we only have 6 minutes before we go off air, but we're still online, so we'll continue with the conversation. I want to put it to the panelists to give us their commitment to these 4 SDGs, and more so for the youth, for the cause of the youth. And I'll start with you real quick as we end.
President Roosevelt would ring loudly now, that we may not be able to build a future for the youth, but let's build the youth for the future. So I think that time for the United Nations, it's a complete commitment in the new United Nations Development Assistance Framework, which we actually signed together with CS Vamalwa and CS Rotich, is a commitment we have made for the next 5 years, not only in how to deliver on the Big Four agenda of President Kenyatta, but how to make sure that the SDGs are properly integrated, keeping youth and gender at the center of it.
Thank you, Sid. Carol?
Thank you very much. My commitment, and of course in time, the commitment of the Emerging Leaders Foundation in this journey of achieving SDGs is that we will continue doing the work we are doing of mentoring young people, empowering young women and men, taking them through leadership training and just building their capacities to develop an agency, for them to have a voice, to participate effectively, make their voices heard, and just live meaningful lives, because it matters. And young people are the future of our nation, and they're the leaders of today and of course the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you.
So I would like to say that as I was seated here, I started reflecting, are we doing enough to involve the youth? Have we given them meaningful engagement? Are they fully engaged in this SDG journey? Because if you look at the youth from 15 or 17 now, by 2030, they'll be 30 years old. So have they tapped in? Are they in the conversation? Are they at the table? So for me, it's a challenge. I'm throwing back a challenge to everyone here in terms of giving the youth the opportunity to be at the table to shape the future of this country. My personal commitment, and if I may commit Safaricom, is that we are ready to connect with the youth and to connect the youth to innovation. We are ready to connect the youth to opportunities, starting from opportunities in terms of exposure, and we have big programs that they can connect into.
Kennedy.
Youth man, you are the future, and the future starts today. Let's think about this. We complain. We are the majority, and yet we complain. Do you know your power? You talk about government officials, the big fish, but who elect them? If we really go back to our roots and know that youth, like people like Mandela, when they were young, they started that time. So this is our moment to start the change. And I, Kennedy, I will keep on working with young people in the informal settlement and the urban centers so that we can start the change that starts with you. Thank you.
Mimi nikimalizia jo, I just want every young person out there to understand that every politician is not a leader, and every leader is not a politician. And you don't need to be in the office to like make change. You know, you can make us the little impact. Even triggering change is important than even change itself. And my commitments are the social impact strategies is that I want to use art for social change and create more awareness on like topics that people don't want to address, like drugs and smoking weed, like sex, because people are scared to talk about sex, like depression, because people are scared to talk about depression and mental health in this country, because when you have mental health, it's like uni cheesy. You know, instead of like getting help, they just, this guy is crazy. And these are topics that nobody's having in this country. And I want to use my platform and through music and arts to have this conversation and to create more awareness for young people to know where to go, in fact. For me, it's just showing them the channels. You know, sina sipatiagi watu kazi, but nitakuchoresha njia. Enda hivi. But I'll show you what I learn or what I know from my experience, and that's my commitment.
All right. Actually, no,
Just give it back.
Shoot video, photography, stylists. I see you. You give a lot of people opportunity on that end. What?
Simama uonekane. Simama uonekane, bro. Simama uonekane.
Piga wazungu picha tuuze.
Thank you so much.
So much. Where's that genie? Soldier. Anyway, so
there's so much to, and I'll let you field some of the questions just after we go off air, because we're still live, but just to sample some quick reactions online. Jogona, you say, we also need people to understand the multiple benefits that will result from a successful implementation of all SDGs for their own lives, their families, and communities. A future we want has to be co-created by us. MZ Zakayo, you say youth have diverted to creative arts, as Octo has said he had to. Where is the government in all this? It's an industry that should be tapped. Probably just one more, because there are many. Tofa, you say unasikianga tu zinatengwa, ushaiona kenye zinafanya. Mapolitician wametugeuza mashete venye daily kwa hizi street wanatupanga. Hey!
Oh, wow.
Mzea, and I think this is someone you need to mentor in the art, of course, of rap. And Stephen Kambi, you say, on matters food security, how comes the government can manage to pump fuel across the country and not water to promote farming? It's by design to make people insufficient.
all right. He says that as he looks straight at the CS. Thank you so much for joining us. So we are done with our live broadcast. However, for those of you who are here, I do understand that we have very many questions. Our panelists will not leave, and we'll also kindly ask the CS to stay behind just for a few minutes so that people can get a chance to ask some questions. Thank you so much for the feedback that we have received on our social media platforms. #NMG Leadership Forum. As this was a special edition where we focused on the youth regarding different SDG issues that we have been, facing here in the country and as well around the globe. We've asked our panelists to commit, and we ask you who's watching from every corporate around this country to kindly commit. There are 17. We're focusing on 4. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Safaricom, FAO, NACC, Oxfam. Thank you so much. My name is Amina Abdurabba.
And my name is Mart Masai. Thank you to Sid Chatterjee and, of course, Karen Wakoli, and Karen Basie and Kennedy Odede, and, of course, Octo Pizzo. And to you, ladies and gentlemen, give yourselves a round of applause. Buenasia sijakusahau. Asante sana pia. The conversation goes offline here, on air that is, but we continue this with our live feed, and we'll be giving you an opportunity to continue with some questions just before we leave. Thank you for watching. We're now going into normal programming with NTV Tonight.